Hi everybody, it's Austin here, or Luna. How you guys doing today? Hopefully you're having a good day. Today's story time, definitely an interesting one. The story time all takes place in elementary school, my last year of elementary school to be specific, before I went into middle school. So I was really young in this story time, but I definitely remember it like it was yesterday because, well, you'll hear why in a second. So today's story time all starts off as a normal day. I was in 5th grade, and I actually didn't really mind going to school that much at this time because in elementary school, they kind of just let you pass regardless of how bad or good you do. So I was stoked on that. I would just go to school every day, have fun with my friends, do as much work as I can, and if I did good or bad, I would pass. So I kind of liked school back then. However, in my 5th grade class, there was this one kid. Let's just call this kid Ryan, okay? Ryan was, on the surface, a very normal kid, right? You know, liked the same stuff I did, liked video games, liked all that cool stuff, like Spider-Man, all that type of shit, right? Little did I know Ryan had a deep-seated anger problem. Now listen, if you have an anger issue, I'm not judging. I just had no idea Ryan was so sensitive to certain things, and nobody warned me about that. So today's story time all starts off as a normal day in 5th grade. I go into school, I sit down, it's pretty early in the morning, and I get out my books and I start first period in my class. Now, because it was elementary school, it didn't work like a regular school does, where like every hour or hour and a half, the bell rings and you move to a different classroom. I was in the same class from the minute 8 o'clock hit in the morning to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock, like every day in the same classroom. And it was the same teacher too. She taught all of the subjects. And it was all the same kids. So I was in the same room every single day for 6-7 hours a day with the same like 15 or 25 kids. Like, everybody knew each other very well, to say the least. So I was actually pretty good friends with Ryan in the start of the year, and we got along pretty well. But then all of that changed on this day. So I walk into school, I sit down, we get through the first period class pretty easily, nothing out of the ordinary there. And then in between switching to the next class, getting all of our books out, I walked over to Ryan's table to sit down with him because our teacher let us move tables if we wanted to in between classes. So I go to his table and I sit down with him. I was like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Hey, Austin, what's up?" And I was like, "Not much." And I noticed he was drinking Mountain Dew. Keep in mind, it's like 9 in the morning. So I was like, "Damn, your parents let you drink Mountain Dew at 9 a.m.? He's like, "Yeah." Because like back then as a kid, Mountain Dew was like crack. Like if you drank Mountain Dew as a child at 9 in the morning, you were like the shit. I don't know, like to me, that was like impressive. My parents would never even let me drink Mountain Dew on the fucking weekends. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. And he's like, "Yeah, I love it." And I was like, "Doesn't it make you hyper in the morning?" And his face like immediately drops and he looks at me with like a really angry look and he goes, "What'd you just say?" I was like, "Does it make you hyper in the morning?" And he's like, "Did you just call me hyper?" I was like, "No, I was asking if it makes you hyper." He goes, "I'm not hyper. Now shut up, dude." And I was like, "Okay, like I wasn't calling you that." He goes, "Just shut up, Austin." And I was like, "All right, man." And I just go and I look down at my book and like try and pretend to work or something because clearly he was pissed. And I like looked up for a second and he's just staring at me with the angriest look. And he goes, "Stop staring at me." Like he screams it. And the whole class looks at him and me. And the teacher goes, "Hey, Ryan, what are you yelling about?" And Ryan goes, "Austin won't stop staring at me. He won't leave me alone." And I was like, "No, listen, I'm not staring at him. Like, I'm not, I promise." And the teacher goes, "Okay, listen, Austin, why don't you move back to your table? Ryan, you stay at yours. Okay, good." So I get up, I move to my table gladly because clearly Ryan was in a bad mood. I sit down, and right after I sit down, the teacher starts her lesson. And it was a science lesson. Now, science isn't really one of my strongest subjects, so I was trying to pay attention as best as I could. Problem with that was, Ryan was sitting right near where the teacher was standing. So to look at the teacher, I kind of had to have Ryan in my field of view. And Ryan was on edge this day and did not want to get stared at. And I had to look that way. So I was looking that way. And sure enough, he screams out, "Austin won't stop looking at me. What the hell?" And he gets up and starts walking over to my table. To which I'm thinking, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? I haven't done anything and he's about to try and fight me. And the teacher literally grabs him by the collar of his shirt and goes, "Ryan, sit down. I'm calling the principal right now." And luckily, my teacher knew that he was overreacting and that I wasn't doing anything wrong. So she called the principal to come down and take him to the office and get him out of there because he was distracting everybody. So 5 minutes later, the principal walks into the room, and the principal of our school was actually pretty nice. He was a cool dude. And he walks in and he looks at Ryan and he goes, Ryan, what's going on? Like, why are you so hyper this morning? And when he said that, dude, I literally put my hand over my mouth. Like, I was speechless. I didn't know what the fuck was about to happen because clearly Ryan did not like being called hyper. And I shit you not, Ryan walks over to him, stands up on a desk so he's eye level with the principal, and fucking sucker punches him in the nose. And his nose starts bleeding. And I was like, holy shit, there's no way that just happened. So immediately the principal like backs up and grabs his face. The teacher runs over, grabs Ryan by the shirt, pulls him off the desk. They immediately escort Ryan down to the principal's office. The principal goes to the nurse's office. And our entire class is just left alone. And I'm sitting there and everybody in the whole class dials their attention to me because it all started with me. And this girl goes, Austin, what happened with Ryan? Why was he so mad today? I was like, I don't know. He thought I was calling him hyper. I wasn't. Then he thought I was staring at him. I also wasn't doing that. And he yelled at me. And then when the principal came to get him, the principal called him hyper and he spazzed out. And the girl goes, why doesn't he like being called hyper? I was like, I have no idea, honestly. And she goes, really? That's why he got mad? I don't believe you. I'm like, what do you mean you don't believe me? The principal literally called him hyper and then got clocked in the face. And she's like, yeah, but like something else had to have been happening. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in his life. I don't know. Ask him or don't because he gets mad. And the whole rest of that day, it's like I was a fucking star of a show. Like everyone kept coming up to me and they were like, Austin, what happened earlier? And I had to like tell the whole story from start to finish. And they'd like wouldn't believe me. They thought there'd be more to it. But anyway, the story time doesn't completely end there, okay? So Ryan didn't come to school for 3 days after this happened. He got out of school suspension for 3 days after this. And when he came back after the 3 days, he was silent. He didn't talk to me. He didn't talk to any of his friends. He just silently did his work and didn't do anything else because I'm assuming his parents probably like would ground him if he did anything else. Anyway, I also saw the principal the next day after everything happened and he was wearing a nose splint. I'm pretty sure Ryan broke that dude's nose. Like, that little 5th grader could pack a fucking punch, dude. Holy shit. But yeah, in the end, everybody was kind of okay. My principal definitely got a little bit hurt, to say the least. And Ryan, I don't know. I didn't talk to him much the rest of that year. I think he was still mad at me because he thought I called him hyper. But anyway, if there's a moral to this story, don't punch your principal in the face. That's not okay. I don't care how annoyed you are with them. Don't punch them in the face. That is not good. And that's pretty much it, to be honest. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.